Did Putin say he'd save Gaddafi? The viral quote versus reality. But wait, what did Putin really say about Gaddafi? You may have seen graphics or videos claiming Putin said, "If I was president when NATO invaded Libya, Gaddafi would still be alive." These posts never show the original speech, full video, date, or Russian transcript. They repeat the line, but they don't prove it. When we look at documented public remarks, we find something different. Putin angrily condemned how Muammar Gaddafi was killed and how TV channels showed his torture and death, but not this clean, heroic, "I would have saved him" quote. So the meme line is almost certainly false, or at least heavily embellished, crafted to make Putin look like the strong moral anti-NATO leader who protects smaller nations. The truth is, we don't need a fake quote to understand Putin's stance. His real words, and more importantly, his actions, speak loudly enough. This quote has no verifiable source, no date, no transcript, no full speech. It's a meme, not a fact. In 2011, after Gaddafi was captured and killed, Putin publicly called the images disgusting and condemned broadcasting the footage of a wounded leader being beaten and executed. He criticized the way Western media showed Gaddafi's body and suggested this kind of intervention and outcome was immoral and destabilizing. He didn't defend democracy in Libya. He didn't talk about human rights for Libyans. His anger focused on the humiliation and killing of a ruler, and on the Western role in toppling him. For Putin, Libya was not a tragedy of dictatorship, but a warning about what Western-backed regime change can do to leaders who challenge the West. That lesson shaped how he sees his own security and how he treats other anti-Western regimes. Today, Iran is one of the most openly anti-Western regimes on the planet. It faces sanctions, isolation, and periodic threats of military action, not unlike what Libya faced before 2011, but on a larger, longer-term scale. From Putin's perspective, Iran serves several strategic purposes. It challenges US and European influence in the Middle East. It distracts and divides Western attention. It creates leverage in energy markets and regional security debates. By aligning himself with Iran, Putin sends a message. If you are an enemy of the West, Russia is willing to work with you. It's not about shared values, it's about shared enemies. This doesn't require a quote about saving Gaddafi. It flows directly from a worldview that sees Western intervention as a threat and anti-Western regimes as shields and tools. Let's connect the dots in a way viewers can feel. Putin watched Gaddafi overthrown after making concessions and trying to come in from the cold. He watched a leader who gave up his nuclear and WMD programs and tried to normalize with the West End up in a ditch, beaten and killed. The lesson for regimes like Iran is obvious. Don't trust Western security guarantees. Don't give up all your leverage. Don't let yourself be isolated without powerful friends. And the lesson for Putin is just as obvious. If you help anti-Western regimes survive, they will depend on you. If they depend on you, they will buy your weapons, your energy, and your diplomatic support. And as long as they stand, they complicate Western strategy and weaken your rivals. Helping Iran, whether through arms deals, energy coordination, intelligence, or diplomatic cover, is entirely in line with his post-Libya logic. Supporting a regime the West wants to pressure allows Putin to replay the Libya story in reverse. This time, the anti-Western leader survives, and Russia is the power that made it possible. The fake, "if I were president then, Gaddafi would still be alive" quote tries to make Putin look like a principled guardian of sovereignty. But the deeper truth is more cynical. He protects regimes that help him challenge the West, not the people suffering under those regimes. For Libyans, Gaddafi's dictatorship was decades of repression and fear. Treating him simply as a victim of NATO erases their experience. For Iranians, external support to their regime doesn't mean freedom or prosperity. It often means a stronger security state, more repression, and more regional tension. Putin's stance is not about justice. It is about ensuring that leaders who oppose the West do not meet Gaddafi's fate, and about turning those leaders into permanent bargaining chips against the United States and Europe. Putin watched Gaddafi die and Syria burn. Today, he's betting that Iran can hurt the West without risking his own troops. Is Russia quietly turning Iran into its proxy? Libya showed him what happens when a leader loses leverage and Western protection. Syria showed him the benefits of backing a regime to keep influence and bases. Iran gives him the same strategic benefit, pressure on the West, but with even less direct exposure because Iran can act independently. Intelligence, sharing surveillance, satellite data, and battlefield tactics helps Iran target better. Technology and arms, drones, missiles, and nuclear or military know-how move both ways between Moscow and Tehran. Diplomacy. Russia shields Iran in international forums and presents itself as a mediator, buying Tehran time and space. Iran is isolated, sanctioned, and locked in confrontation with the U.S. and its allies. Iran can strike U.S., Israeli, and Gulf targets without Moscow firing a single shot. For Putin, Iran is a way to pressure the West, distract it, and stretch its resources. In Syria, Putin did the opposite of Libya. He saved a dictator, Bashar al-Assad, and kept a friendly regime in place. By backing Assad, he showed he would protect allies who resist Western pressure. Syria became an example for other anti-Western regimes, including Iran. How Libya shaped Putin's fear of Western regime change? Gaddafi gave up WMDs, tried to normalize, and still fell. Putin saw a leader humiliated and killed after a Western-backed intervention. Lesson for him: never be weak, never trust the West, never end up like Gaddafi. Putin watched Gaddafi die and Syria burn. Today, he's betting that Iran can hurt the West without risking his own troops. Is Russia quietly turning Iran into its proxy? Putin sees NATO expansion as a direct threat, just as the U.S. would see Russian bases in Mexico. His defense of Syria and Iran against Western regime change pressure rests on a principle many agree with. No outside power should topple sovereign governments. Like America, China, or any great power, Russia applies sovereignty selectively. But the core idea, no foreign coalition gets to redraw your political map, deserves credit regardless of who's saying it. Putin isn't uniquely evil. He's playing the same game every major power plays. Defend your interests, protect your allies, and guard your borders. The hypocrisy belongs to the system, not just one player. If this perspective resonates, like, subscribe, and share. Understanding the full picture matters more than picking teams.